Business Focus with Kudzie, Sharara on the Champions League Breakfast.
Good morning and welcome to Business Focus right here on Capital. As always with Kudzie, Sharara, proudly brought to you by POSB. Why travel miles to reach your bank? At People's Own Savings Bank, we believe in bringing convenience right to your doorstep. Introducing our new sub-service center in Borodale, located at the Zimpost Borodale offices, where you can access a full range of POSB services, including new account openings, cash withdrawals and deposits, loan applications, cash collection for money transfer services like POSB Remit, Western Union, Mukuru, MoneyGram and Mama Money, business and institutional banking, and so much more. Remember, you can bank anytime, anywhere with POSB mobile banking platforms, which are available 24/7. Simply dial star 223 hash on Econet, star 223 hash on Econet, or to star 222 hash on Telecel or Net1, star 222 hash, and download the POSB on the go application, or send a hi to our WhatsApp banking mobile number 0781 366 666, 0781 366 666 to start transacting today. Stay connected with us on social media at POSB Zimbabwe across all platforms, or call our Econet toll-free line at star 223 hash, and you will be able to get in touch with POSB. 120 years of making life simply possible. Hashtag convenience made simply possible. Business Focus right here on Capital. Good morning to you, Kudzie, and welcome to this week's edition of Business Focus.
Good morning, Tinashe. Good morning, Pakistan, and good morning, everyone.
Great, and thank you so much. Let's begin by rewinding to Friday and look at how the markets traded last week.
Thank you, Tinashe. So we start with the Zimbabwe Stock Exchange, which was in the negative territory on Friday, with the all-share index coming off by 1.08%. The top 10 index was even worse off with a 1.51% drop. And the counters that dragged the market lower, OK Zimbabwe coming off by 14.44%. Also CBZ dropping 6.7%. We'll talk more about CBZ because they've released their results or performance for the 9 months to September. So we'd want to see how they performed there, but they were one of the biggest losers there on Friday. Tipo Valley also coming off by 6.25%. Eco Cash shedding 3.82%. Econet down by 2.78%. So those were then on upside, CFI was the top riser with a 14.98% gain. Pro Plastic also putting on 10.52%. First Mutual Property up by 6.83%. South Africa adding 1.93%, and then Delta was a margin of 0.02%. So the losers managed to carry the day, gaining more than dragging the market lower there. And then on the Secure Falls Stock Exchange, we saw the VFAX putting on a margin of 0.5%. So far in the year, the VFAX has done just 5.13%, which is not much, considering that if you are an investor, you then have to factor in transaction costs. You have to factor in any inflation that might be there, and we know the US dollar inflation is around, according to ZiG, is around 4%. So a 5.13% gain there. When you look at it from an overall perspective, then the VFX hasn't done much or done well. It's best it has preserved value. But again, you have to remember that there are several counters, more than 10 counters that are listed there. So you find that someone could have made money in another counter that might have done well, whilst others might have not done so well, depending on the counters that they would have invested in. Same applies with the Zimbabwe Stock Exchange, where, for example, you look at that 176% gain year to date on the all-share index, and then you factor in your inflation, you factor in your currency depreciation. Probably someone would have done a 50% gain, but then someone has invested in a counter like Mashonaland Holdings, which has given you 1,655% gain. Someone would have put in money into Unifreight, which has given them about 862% gain. At 664% gain. FTC also 42% gain, VAT 357% gain. So for those counters, even if you factor in issues of currency depreciation, you factor in issues of inflation, one would still be in the money. So it all depends on which counters you bought, and also it also depends on when exactly did you buy these counters. Because, for example, you talk about Marsh Holdings, someone who bought at the beginning of the year, that person is enjoying that 1,655% gain. But somebody who might have bought last week is obviously not enjoying a similar returns on their investment. So it's all about when you get into the market, what sort of performance has it had during that period. So that's the Zimbabwe Stock Exchange and how it performed on Friday. But then looking at CBZ, I mentioned CBZ earlier, and maybe since it's one of the top biggest counters, I think it's in the top 4 counters on the Zimbabwe Stock Exchange, and also I think it is the biggest bank in Zimbabwe. If you compare it by assets, if you compare it by the loans that it gives, and then you also, if you compare it by the deposits that are there, but if you compare by the number of customers, then it probably is not the biggest. So the numbers coming from CBZ is that they made about, in terms of their total income for CBZ, total income. Remember that CBZ is diversified. They are into the banking sector. They are into the insurance sector. They are into asset management. They are into property. So when we say total income, we are talking about all the numbers put together from all those various units. And they say that total income was at 2.6 billion ZiG, 2.6 billion ZiG. That's how much they made in terms of total income. But I like their profitability because out of that 2.6 billion, about 1 billion came in as profit after tax. So they made 1 billion out of their total income, and I think for me that's impressive there. If you look at it from a margin point of view, when you can convert your income into such high profitability, almost like 40% of their total income came in as profit after tax. So that's the impressive. And then you talk of their asset base, how much assets are under CBZ. So they've got assets, $30 billion worth of assets under CBZ, and of that, total deposits account for 18.5 billion ZiG. That is part of their deposits. And then out of their deposits of about the 18 billion, how much are they loaning out to their customers or to their depositors? So total loans given by CBZ amounted to $8.8 billion, rather not dollars, ZiG, 8.8 billion ZiG. That's what they put in. So that's roughly about 60% loan to deposit ratio, which is best for CBZ. And then so that's those are numbers coming from CBZ, which, like I said, is one of the biggest banks in the country. Yeah. So yeah, that's CBZ.
Okay. Well said on that one, Kudzie. Thank you so much. Before we move on to currencies, those who've got questions to do with business, please drop them on 0719 100404. Here's a question for you, Kudzie. Says, what is a stag in stock market? I was asking the question, Nimwana Arimu Form 3 Ndakashaya answer. What is a stag in stock market?
A stag?
Yes.
A stag?
Stag, S-T-A-G.
Well, I don't know.
Okay.
I don't know. A stag. I haven't come across that one. Yeah.
All right. So maybe we'll have to look out for that, and then we'll come and respond to that. Hopefully tomorrow we'll hold on that question. Another one says that. So how do changes in government policies impact the Zimbabwe Stock Exchange counters, and are there risks associated with investing in the Zimbabwe Stock Exchange counters?
Yeah. Actually, yes. That's an interesting one. So I've done a quick check on what a stag is, Tinashe. So according to this Investopedia, They say a stag is a slang for short-term speculator, for a short-term speculator. Like if there's somebody who is just getting into the market, they believe that the counter might go up within 1 week, they might just say, okay, let me buy and then sell after that 1 week. So they are a short-term speculator. That's what Investopedia is saying about a stag. It's actually a slang term for a short-term speculator. That's like a day trader, for example, who attempts to profit from short-term market movements by quickly moving in and out of position. So it's a slang name for a short-term speculator.
Okay.
And then now to your question on what government policies and whether they've got an impact on the market. Yes, they have got significant impact on the markets, stock markets in this case. For example, if government policies are positive and will result in economic growth, it also means the companies that are listed will also do well, will also perform better. And so investors will naturally want to invest when they believe that the policies that have been put in place by government are positive and might result in some of the companies benefiting. For example, if you look at the sugar tax, right, it's a government policy that was put in place. If I am an investor into some of the companies that produce companies products that have got high sugar content, so you're looking at your deltas of this world, you're looking at your dairy boards of this world, and you know that these companies, their products have got high levels of sugar. So, for example, Delta has already told us that they've paid almost 20 million in sugar tax, and this is money and this tax obviously resulted in price increases for their products, which might have resulted in some people not affording their products. We've also seen with Schweppes, where some of their products became expensive and people had to look for alternatives. So these policies will affect how a company performs, and the result will be people either buying or not buying a counter, depending on whether the policy will be positive or negative. You look at, for example, if there is the Reserve Bank through its policies fails to contain inflation, fails to contain currency depreciation, those factors will affect companies. We've been talking about some of the biggest retailers in the country that have been affected by the distortions that come as a result of how we manage our exchange rate. And those people, then investors will then look and say, okay, this company has been hit hard by the policies, the monetary policies, the exchange rate policies. This company has been affected and has been hit hard. It is losing its market share probably to tax shops. And as an investor is saying, the performance that I was looking forward to for this company is not going to come to fruition because it has been affected by A, B, C, D. So again, yes, so in short, and I was trying to give examples to say, yes, government policies do affect how companies perform. And investors will look at those macro policies and say, okay, because of these policies, I'm not going to invest in certain sectors because they are going to be affected. But because of these policies, they are good for this particular sector. So in my investments, I'm going to invest in these sectors because they are the ones that are likely to benefit from certain policies. Thank you.
All right, Kudzie, thank you so much for that. And let's also look quickly on the currencies. How are they trading?
Yeah, so looking at the currencies, it has been interesting how the US dollar has performed against the other currencies. Because from I've been tracking how the dollar, for example, has been performing against the euro and against the British pound. So normally $1 will give you, over the years, the average I think is $1 will get you 0.9 euros. 0.9 euros. That's what $1 would give you. And up to now, I think it's still around those levels. And then when it comes to the British pound, you'll see on average, I think over the years, $1 will get you 0.72 British pound. $1 will give you 0.72. But as we speak, $1 is giving you 0.77 British pound. And again, as you can see there, your dollar is giving you more in Europe. or in the UK, your dollar is getting you more there. It also means that, for example, if your relatives wanted to send you $100 back in the last couple of years, maybe 5 years ago, they would send you 0.72 pounds if they want to give you a dollar. But now they have to give you give 0.77, which is more pounds than they were giving you before. So that's how the US dollar relates to the British pound. But then we come to the South African rand, which is trading at 17.61 rand versus $1 US, 17.61. And last year, for example, and early this year, the rand was above 18. Every dollar will give you more than 18 rand. But since the coming in of the new government, which is a government of national unit, I think, a GNU in South Africa, the rand has strengthened. Probably these are some investors who believe in the new governance structure in South Africa, and they are looking for South African assets. So what happens in South Africa now? If you bring in your euros, if you bring in your US dollar, trying to invest in South Africa, whether as a portfolio investor like on the JSE, or even as a foreign direct investor in South Africa, you bring in your US dollar, you buy rand, and then you use the rand to invest in whatever you want to invest in. So there is increased demand for the rand in South Africa, and it has strengthened. And so that's the rand there. Then you go to Zambia, where $1 will give you 27.36 Zambian kwacha. 27.36 Zambian kwacha. I think when the new President Hichilema came into power, at some point the kwacha you just need about 20 kwacha for $1 US. But now you need 27 kwacha to get $1 US. What it means is that the kwacha has depreciated in value against the dollar. Probably some investors not believing in the story there in Zambia. Probably some investors are just looking at the drought and also looking at the state of electricity supply in Zambia, where they go for like 21 hours without power. They've been hit pretty hard in Zambia. The drought also affecting them quite significantly. So some investors might be selling out of their kwacha investment. So when you are selling out your kwacha investment, you then need US dollars to repatriate back to your country. So there is increased demand for the US dollar in Zambia, and that would resulted in the currency there weakening. And then coming back home in Zimbabwe, we are seeing the ZiG officially gaining strength against the US dollar. At some point, it was at 28.68, but it has since appreciated to 25.58, which means that there is probably demand for ZiG, or there is probably reduced the demand for the US dollar on the official market. So it will be interesting to hear from the central bank to say, okay, what are they seeing in terms of the interbank market? Are they seeing less demand of the US dollar? And are they also seeing demand for ZiG? Remember, whether they are seeing exporters voluntarily selling their US dollar for the ZiG on the interbank market. So I also understand from the Sunday Mail that the reserves that the Reserve Bank say that they have in US dollar terms, they have since increased it to 500 million US. Remember, we started at 285 million US. That is including gold and other minerals plus US dollar cash. Now they are telling us that it has since increased to 500, which is $500 million in reserves. So that could be a positive factor that is also helping in the strengthening of the ZiG. And yeah, so that's on currencies there.
Okay, great. Thank you so much, Kudzie, for Business Focus for today. We discuss more tomorrow. Have yourself a lovely Monday.
Thank you, Tinashe.
Okay. Business Focus are proudly brought to you by POSB. Why travel miles to reach your bank at People's Own Savings Bank? We deliver and we believe in bringing convenience right to your doorstep. Introducing our new sub-service center in Borodale, located at the Zimpost Borodale offices, where you can access a full range of POSB services, including new account openings, cash withdrawals and deposits, loan applications, cash collection for money transfer services like POSB, Remit, Western Union, Mukuru, MoneyGram and Mama Money, including business and institutional banking, and so much more. All you need to do is just to call us on some 223*223# and you will be able to access POSB, or you try *222#. Stay connected with us on social media at POSB Zimbabwe across all platforms. POSB, 120 years of making life simply possible. #convenience made simply possible.
Business Focus with Kudzie, Sharara on the Champions League Breakfast.